The Oregon versus Oregon State football game, formerly known as the Civil War, is the single biggest sporting event every year in the state of Oregon. Almost everyone in the state has a connection to one of or sometimes both of these schools, and the game each year is an opportunity to come together while still being divided. And that includes this channel. I attended Oregon, and Ben is a lifelong Oregon State fan. And with the 126th meeting between the two schools only a few days away, we thought there was no better time to talk about our history with this rivalry, this year's game, and the importance of this game going forward. Before we start though, we would kindly ask if you could drop a like on this video, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss one of our videos. We've got some great NBA content coming up that you won't want to miss. Also, big shout out to beaverblitz.com for helping us out with this video. They are the one-stop shop for all things Oregon State athletics. Check them out, links down in the description. So let's start with the history of this game, because these teams have been playing each other forever. They first played each other in 1894. They played 125 times. This year's going to be 126. And there's a lot of moments in this series.
The Beavers win 16-0 in the first game. Shout out to the shutout. Okay.
Shout out to the shutout 125 years ago. 128 years ago. I can't count.
We'll forever remember that game. Those guys balled out.
Oregon State wasn't even called Oregon State.
What were they called?
Oregon Agricultural College, I believe.
Okay, well, it was a good rebrand.
125 games. This year's going to be 126. Oregon leads the all-time series 67-48 to 10. I personally have been to 5 of these games in 2009, 2015, 2017, 2019, and 2021.
And I've never been to one.
Well, there's no time like the present, Ben.
True, I gotta buy whatever the $200 ticket's gonna cost this year.
What are you waiting for? Chinese New Year? Go, go, go!
Because half the stadium's renovated.
You do that, and I'll give you a call from Hawaii when I'm watching the game
wow,
at a beachside bar.
I'm freezing out here in Corvallis. This dude's chilling on the beach.
When your family says, hey, you want to go to Hawaii? I don't think you would say no.
No, I wouldn't. I was honestly surprised that the all-time series is this close. Like, not bad for the Beavers' perspective.
Well, I think it's been close for the majority of its history, and Oregon has kind of just got good recently.
Yeah, it's really been just that modern era we've watched where the Ducks, they just took that massive leap, and the Beavers have had a couple rough patches during that time as well. It doesn't help, but we're looking better now. Let's talk about the first Civil War we really remember. 2009, that one was legendary.
The winner got the spot in the Rose Bowl. I was at that game with my family. That's one of my favorite memories of going to Oregon games. I don't remember a whole lot from the game because I was 11 when we went, but one thing I remember is that it was freezing cold. The game kicked off at 6 o'clock, so it's probably finished around 10 o'clock. And I've gone back and looked at like weather history websites to find out how cold it was. Apparently it was 26 degrees at the end of the game. Now I've been in 26 degrees since that game. It felt a lot colder than 26 degrees.
That was a heartbreaker for Beaver fans. I remember specifically that LeGarrette Blount run. It was like a 22-yard touchdown run or something. Breaks a tackle, gets over the last guy, and I was just like, are you kidding me? After being suspended most of the year, he caps off the season with that.
How coincidental that he is brought back to the team before the biggest game of the year.
So I did look it up. He was cleared before the Arizona State game the week before, but it was kind of weird how Chip Kelly, they ended that suspension at a really weird time. That's all I'm gonna say.
Chip's a shrewd operator, man.
I remember for that game at school we were allowed like the free dress day because we went to that Catholic school with the strict dress code, and I was dripped out in Beaver gear. It was on like a Thursday night. I was ready, and I was heartbroken later that night. 2 straight seasons. You just need to win one final game against the Ducks to make it to the Rose Bowl, and they beat them both times.
2 straight years, you got your bags packed, foot's out the door, ready to go to the Rose Bowl, and you fall to the Ducks twice.
The hotel trip is booked. You already are planning the itinerary. Everything's set in place, and you can't win the final one.
You're gonna go see the band play at Disneyland before the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Brutal.
Yeah, that was tough. And then in 2010, they kind of had a shot to like hit the reverse card on them and wasn't really close.
Always a big deal when game day comes to town for a rivalry game. Oregon ranked #1 in the country. Beavers, I think, were 5-6. Chance to play spoiler. It was a close first quarter. Oregon State, I believe, actually scored first in that game, but Oregon punched their ticket to their first ever national championship appearance. That was a great game. For me, at least. I'm sure you saw it differently.
Yeah, just a little bit. Credit to the Ducks. It was the title year. That was an insane run. It was really like their first year where they cemented themselves as one of the premier college football programs. And things looked decent for the Beavers. They actually did score first. It was Jaquiz Rogers. I think he caught a pass, actually. He scored a touchdown, and there was some hope, but the rest of the game didn't quite go as well, and they were not able to spoil the Ducks after the Ducks spoiled them 2 years in a row.
2012, where both teams were actually good.
Yeah, Oregon was just insane that year, so Oregon State really didn't have a chance, but Oregon State, 15th going to that game, like, that's pretty impressive for the Beavers' part.
That's the best team in Oregon history. I'll die on that hill.
Yeah, I would agree. 2013, the heartbreak I felt after that game. All-time Beaver fan heartbreak. I don't know what it was, but it just felt like we were going to do the unthinkable, get the upset there in Autzen, and Mariota found Josh Huff at the end. Yeah, the only time I can even think of that the Beavers won in Autzen was 2007. I think the last time prior to that was 1993 or something. Every time. That's why the Josh Huff touchdown, that hurts so bad, because they actually had a chance to win in Autzen for once, and it just wasn't going to happen.
2014 is basically a repeat of the 2010 game. Beavers have a chance to play spoiler.
Yeah, and that game wasn't close either.
Nope.
You had the Mariota hurdle. Just that photo was everywhere. I was like, God damn it.
Love that photo. 2015 was actually a really fun game. This was the first game since 2009 that I actually went to. Oregon State, pretty bad. Gary Anderson literally set that program back 7 years?
There's a domino effect you could probably trace that Gary Anderson getting hired by the Beavers led to the Pac-12 falling apart.
Falling apart?
There's a domino effect there.
One coaching hire 7 years ago leads to the collapse of a conference.
I need to go back in time and prevent that.
This game started as a blowout, and then Ryan Nall said,
Fine. I'll do it myself.
That was Ryan Nall's coming out party. The Beavers were terrible that whole season, but he gave like a little bit of hope at the end that they could win that game and do something good. But yeah, that was the dark ages of the Oregon State program. But in 2016, the streak was over at 9. The Beavers found a way to win. Both teams were awful, but Beavers got the W, and I remember they rushed the field. They were hyped.
I have little to say on this game. This game was awful for me and for... I hated this game so much.
I was like, finally, it's over.
I cannot put into words how much I hated watching this game. I hated this whole year, but this game was painful.
And then 2017, more of the same. The Gary Anderson era, the Beavers go 1-11 that season. In 2020, that was one of the weirdest Civil Wars because it took place just during the middle of the season.
I believe it was the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think that's why it happened. They wanted to keep it at the Thanksgiving time, but the Beavers were 1-2, the Ducks were 3-0, and that was a shocker for the Beavers. Felt like the Beavers got cheated because it's a COVID year, no one can really go to the game, and it's at home, so you kind of just lose a home game that year. But Chance Nolan, he comes in for his first ever college snap, gets that QB sneak, and they get out of there with the win.
Chance Nolan's still living off that game.
I mean, I would be.
I think even if Oregon goes down to Utah, we're recording this before the Utah game, this will probably go up after it. Even if Oregon goes down to Utah, as long as Oregon State beats Arizona State, probably going to be the 5th ranked matchup in series history.
Hey, that would be special. Any chance we get game day at Reeser again?
I'd have to check the other games. I mean, if Oregon wins, it beats Utah, they'll probably jump back into the top 10. If Oregon State beats Arizona State, they'll probably be 23, 24 maybe. I could see game day doing that. You know, game day every once in a while, they like to go to places that they don't normally go to. They haven't been to Corvallis in 11 years, so...
The Emperor does not share your optimistic appraisal of the situation.
But either way, Reeser, and again, they're kind of getting cheated this year because we're not going to have a full Reeser, but I can guarantee you that place will be rocking.
And they can be rocking all they want. It's not going to be enough.
I don't know.
See, you don't know, but I do.
Oh, you do?
Oregon getting out of there with a win.
You just know they're going to win.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It's called confidence.
Can you tell me the weather tomorrow, or what's going to happen in the stock market so I make some money if you can just predict the future?
Well, I can't tell you that. I can tell you football scores.
Oh, okay. Are you like Biff from Back to the Future? You got the football almanac or whatever?
I got my sports almanac. Yeah, what about it?
Okay, we'll see. Even with half of the capacity or whatever they got this year, it's going to be rocking.
Hey, we were there for the Washington State game, and I was genuinely blown away at how loud the crowd was, despite the fact that half the seats were essentially not there.
Yup, and that new scoreboard, that was looking nice in person, you gotta admit.
Oh yeah, that scoreboard was looking amazing. Probably gonna be freezing cold though.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be freezing cold.
This year though has potential to be an all-timer, I think. Like we said before, possibility to be the 5th ranked matchup in series history. Both teams are good. Both teams, I think, have done a lot this year of really good things. Oregon State back in the rankings for the first time in 9 years. Oregon has rebounded nicely from getting their doors blown off by Georgia. Both teams can run the football. Both teams can defend the run. I think the big matchup is going to be Oregon's passing game versus Oregon State secondary.
Yeah, that's the huge matchup because Oregon, they got that lethal passing attack. And the Beavers, they got a little Legion of Boom back there. Like, that's going to be very interesting.
On the other side, it's kind of the inverse because Oregon's secondary sucks. If you watch the Washington game, you know that because Michael Penix threw a party on that secondary. But Oregon State doesn't really have a QB that can throw.
They don't have any QBs. Well, I mean, they're all right. They can make a throw every once in a while, but the running attack is really where Oregon State thrives.
Both teams thrive running the ball. Oregon's ranked 2nd in the conference in rushing. Oregon State's 4th. And like I said, on the defensive side, Oregon State's number 1 against the run in the conference, and Oregon is number 2. So the strength of both teams is their rushing attack on offense, and the strength on defense for both teams is their rushing defense. So which one is going to give?
If Oregon State wants to win, Gold Branson, he's going to have to make some throws.
Nah, he's 100% going to have to make some throws. That Oregon secondary is vulnerable. Just don't throw at Christian Gonzalez and you'll be fine.
Is it going to be a shootout? We talking a grinded out game? What are you feeling so far?
Mid to low scoring. I think the fact that Oregon State is not really going to be able to pass, because they can't really pass the ball anyway. I think they'll do okay in the passing game, but they're not going to throw for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns like Penix did. I don't even know if that's what he threw for, but you know, you get what I'm saying. It's going to be a cold day at Reeser. I think both teams are going to lean heavy on the run. I think it's going to be a relatively quick game. I think this could be a game that's over in 3.5 hours, 3 hours, 20 minutes maybe, because both teams are going to be running the ball so much. So I'm thinking this is a relatively lower scoring game, but I think Oregon's going to pull it off 30-20.
You're disrespecting my Beavs. No, we're going to see some fireworks, a little bit of them. Maybe early on, and then third quarter it closes up a bit. And the Beavers, I'm thinking like a 34-31 late field goal, you get a stop, and they're rushing the field at Reeser. I'm calling it now. They are rushing the field on Reeser.
I don't see a 34-31. That's a lot of points for two teams that I think are going to run the ball like crazy. Unless we have some really long runs, like some 60-yard, 50-yard runs, I think that both teams are just going to look to control the clock, run the ball, keep the ball away from the other team's offense. I especially think Oregon State is going to try hard to keep the ball away from Bo Nix and that Oregon offense.
Realistically, you look at their game plan for the USC game, they'll probably play more conservative, but I don't know. These Civil Wars always can get crazy, so I can see some fireworks. That's all I'm saying.
It's just going to be Bo Nix throwing bombs to Troy Franklin is going to be the fireworks.
Well, Bo picks, you know, he'll throw a couple to the other team as well, so you can always count on those.
Because he hasn't done that since the Georgia game when he was playing against the best team in the country, but that's okay.
He's coming off a loss, a predictable late November loss for the Ducks, so we'll see what he does.
A predictable
I
late
mean,
November
it happens
loss.
every year. That's what I'm saying. So
it's November 13th, Ben. Not exactly late November.
Well, sometimes they give you some more hope. Sometimes the playoff hope dies early. It just kind of depends.
Right. You know what? I'm changing it. Oregon by 27.
Oh yeah, Oregon by 27 in Reeser. As
Okay.
if.
I'm just being obnoxious now. I'm sticking with my pick. Oregon by 10, 30-20 in a quick, low-scoring game. It's going to feel real nice getting to Shirley Temple at that beachside bar after that win. That's all I'm saying.
Really? A Shirley Temple? Well, I'm getting a Roy Rogers after the Oregon State upset.
So the future of this game. This is the part where we might get a little bit doom and gloom because the future of this game is 100% in danger due to conference realignment.
It's sad to see from an Oregon sports fan because it's special to the state of Oregon in a way you can't really describe. You know, you have those house divided bumper stickers. There's just something about the Civil War.
I totally agree, and it sucks that this rivalry is on the fence and so many other great ones have been lost to realignment. West Virginia and Pittsburgh has been gone. Nebraska, Oklahoma was gone. Texas and Texas A&M, that's going to be back in the SEC, but they haven't played in 10 years. Colorado, Nebraska, that's gone. Kansas, Missouri, coming back soon, but haven't played in 10 years. Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma, that game is gone, and apparently there's no plans to bring it back.
See, that just makes me sad. These are classics. So how long do you think it would be gone? Let's say if it goes away in like the next 2 years or something.
Okay, I personally think that next year is the last year of the Pac-12. USC and UCLA are already leaving after next year, and I think at some point within the next year, Oregon and Washington are gonna make clear their intentions. Whether or not they officially announce that they're leaving, I don't know, but I think they're gonna make clear that their intentions are to eventually leave. You hear a lot of rumors right now about San Diego State and SMU being added to the pack. I don't think that's going to happen. I think the earliest it comes back is 2029. If you just look at all the rivalry games that have been lost to conference realignment and have returned, there's that gap. I mean, West Virginia and Pittsburgh, they are each other's biggest rivals. A lot of these other rivalries you can toss out because, well, Nebraska's not Oklahoma's biggest rival. Texas A&M's not Texas's biggest rival. You know, you can toss out those rivalries because, well, they're not your biggest rival, so you don't prioritize. I think even with that, I think even with how much it means to the state, scheduling like this, it takes time. So I think 2029, 6 years, it'll be gone. And then will it be back annually? I'm not sure. I think maybe it'll be back for 4 years, go away for another 4 years, and then maybe it'll be back annually after that. But what I will say is that if it does go away, both schools need to move heaven and earth to bring it back as soon as possible.
This is the sad part about the realignment. This is going back, what did we say? 126 years now?
First played each other in 1894.
That is ridiculous.
I think that Oregon leaving for the Big Ten is the best thing that they can do, but I don't want it to happen. Like, if in a perfect world, if I could just snap my fingers, I would bring USC and UCLA back to the Pac-12 and we just have the Pac-12.
It's always about the money.
I get it's always about the money, but God,
If it does go away, that'd be sad like I mentioned, but this has to be an annual rivalry. If possible, they need to try and make this still the last game of the year. It's an Oregon tradition. Make it happen.
Do it!
One last thing though, because everyone always brings this up, and it's just true. A beaver would kick the shit out of a duck in a real fight.
Oh my God.
Just at least concede there.
No, I won't concede there.
How? What's a duck gonna do? Quack at it?
A duck has a flock that's gonna beat the shit out of the
A
one
flock.
beaver
Do you know what-
who's just coming at you by himself
A beaver
because he thinks he's
tail?
some hot shit.
Have you seen beaver's teeth?
I don't give a about beaver's teeth, and yes, I have. They look like fucking Timmy Turner's teeth, but I don't care.
Turner's teeth? That thing can chop down wood.
Cool.
This is ridiculous. A beaver makes an entire dam. A duck's like, oh shit, it's winter. I gotta fly away, I guess. Got nowhere else to go. Gotta fly across the entire world.
Yeah, ducks can fly.
I mean, I'd rather just post up. I'm just chilling, like.
You would not rather post up and make a dam with your
dam?
teeth than fly.
Oh, you know the beaver's got a whole setup in the dam.
Meanwhile, ducks can fly through the air.
That would probably get boring after a while.
Flying through the air would get boring. All you neutrals, Ben would rather post up in the dam with sticks and leaves. I would rather fly. So if you want to come over to my side right now, no one would blame you.
Your side, you got nowhere to go.
We're flying!
Flying to where? You don't got no home. We got a dam.
Flying down to Pasadena where the Rose Bowl is.
Okay. Well, we'll be at the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl. We'll link.
Same city, just like 30 miles away.
We can settle this down there if you want.
And that's the video. How do you think this year's Civil War will go down? Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to drop it a like as it really helps us out. If you want to see more of our content, check out some of the other videos on screen. Thank you again to Beaver Blitz for helping us out with this video, and don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.